This particular story right here that I'm about to talk to you about gained a lot of traction on Twitter. And shout out to Craig J for tagging me in the post, because this post literally, since the day he tagged me in it, it got so many hits, meaning that I kept getting notified. And the way Twitter works is when someone tags you in something, if somebody likes it or retweets it or responds to it, you're gonna get the notification every single time. It's almost as if you posted the tweet yourself. But shout out to him for sending this to me. And this is definitely something that falls under Operation Protect the White Boy, probably one of the bigger ones. And when you find out the details, you won't be surprised. And the crazy part about it is you probably already know about the story, but because it doesn't get that much push, it will easily slip your mind, like very easily. But this person's name is Blaine Newton, and he's a Kansas City police officer. Now, this was like the only picture that I could find of him. Like, I tried to find other images of him, but this is the only one that's really available of use. And that's of what looks to be maybe body cam footage or maybe cell phone video. It's not a very clear image, but this is the only one that could really be found. And he's been dubbed pretty much a serial killer that's still working for the department, because this man fatally shot an unarmed black man and he kneed on a pregnant woman's back. And now it's been revealed that he killed 2 other people, and he's still working for the department. And they actually have a picture of the people he's assaulted and killed. And I'm gonna put that up here when I get to probably maybe towards the end of the video. And one of the pictures of someone being assaulted did actually really go viral. And when you see the picture of it, then it's all gonna come back to you about who this dude is, just in case you forgot. A Kansas City police officer who killed an unarmed black man in 2020 with a record of other violent arrests of black civilians has been named in the killings of 2 other people. Officer Blaine Newton is undergoing a routine investigation following the shooting deaths of Marcel T. Nelson and Kristen Fairchild, both 42, on June 9, 2023. So these 2 killings that he just did just happened. Now, I'm recording this video on June 22nd, 2023, and they still keep him there. They still keep him employed. According to Fox 4 News, Newton shot Nelson and Fairchild while on patrol, according to 31st Street and Van Brunt Boulevard at approximately 9 p.m. before calling for help. Responding officers found Nelson died and Fairchild in need of medical assistance. She later died at the hospital. A third person, Nelson's 20-year-old nephew, also was shot in the head but is expected to survive. Reportedly, 3 people with knowledge of the investigation into the shootings identified Newton as the shooter. The Missouri State Highway Patrol claimed that Newton saw a passenger who had been riding in a pickup truck get out of the truck and approach a minivan while holding a firearm before getting back into the truck and speeding off. MSHP claimed that Newton, who was identified as the officer, pulled alongside the minivan, preventing his dash cam from recording the interaction. So that just lets you know what he was planning to do. Newton fired several shots into the driver's side window of the minivan before it slowly rolled forward and hit a curb. Authorities believe that Fairchild was driving the minivan and also claimed that 4 firearms were found in the minivan. They also allege that shell casings found in the minivan suggest that someone fired from inside the vehicle. The investigation is reportedly ongoing. It is unclear why Newton approached the minivan instead of following the pickup truck. 3 people walked out of the vehicle after the officer ordered those inside to exit, while the driver and passenger were too injured to move. Newton's dash cam also failed to record him shooting and killing Donnie Sanders in March 2020. The dash cam did record him passing Sanders' drive a Chevy Tahoe and making a U-turn to follow him near Prospect Avenue and 51st Street with his sirens activated. Sanders pulled over in an alley and ran. Newton chased him and ordered him to stop before firing 5 shots, 3 of them hitting an unarmed Sanders. He died the following day in the hospital as the police revealed that he was unarmed and that they had found a cell phone in his pocket. However, Jackson County prosecutors claim that there was insufficient evidence against Newton to file criminal charges. Sanders' family filed a $10 million federal civil lawsuit in Kansas City that is currently ongoing. The disgraced KCPD officer also repeatedly assaulted a 9-month pregnant black woman during a 2020 arrest. While arresting Deja Stalling, Newton put his knee into her back after slamming her to the ground on her belly, causing her to be hospitalized. He was also one of 3 officers who used a taser on a teenager and repeatedly punched him in 2019, resulting in a $325,000 payout by KCPD. Critics wonder why Newton is still employed by the KCPD. You don't have to wonder, you already know why. This is a strong case of Operation Protect the White Boy, and look at who his targets are. This guy literally is only targeting black people. Nowhere have I read so far in this article, and I'm probably like halfway through, did it say he attacked anybody of any other group. And remember the video that I did about that Chad, what's his name? Chaz Foy, I believe that's his name. The one I did the triple P on, about how he got fired 2 days after his post got exposed, his anti-black post. Imagine if they didn't fire him. He would have been probably another Blaine Newton. Clearly the KCPD doesn't believe in firing people. But we know how that goes. They don't get fired, they get transferred. Suspicion also has been raised around why the authorities refused to name Newton as the officer involved in the June 9th killings. We have not named the officer, nor do we ever, unless there are charges filed and the identification becomes a public record, which they have not filed any charges against, so that's why they won't even try to name him, even though the people know who it is. Wrote KCPD spokesman Sergeant Jacob Bachina. KCPD is fully cooperating with the Highway Patrol investigation. Missouri State Highway Patrol spokesman Sergeant Andy Bell also refused to name Newton. See, they all on code with each other. They are all protecting this dude. Like, this dude is responsible for people's deaths, and they still allow him to go out and do what he's doing because they are condoning it. Now, if he slips up and he does it to another group, especially to PC, then they'll be ready to give him up. Then they'll say he's been abusing his power. We will not release the name of the officer involved while there is an ongoing investigation. Steve Young is an organizer with the Kansas City Law Enforcement Accountability Project, and he referred to Newton as a serial killer. Blaine Newton is a serial killer, said Young. There are officers who don't discharge their weapons their entire careers. He's now responsible for 3 deaths and 2 assaults that we know of. Ebony Allman is Nelson's sister and the mother of the 20-year-old third victim who was shot by Newton in the head. Allman said that her brother had picked up her son after he'd gone swimming and that they were on their way to McDonald's when Newton shot them. Allman says she hasn't yet asked her son what happened during the shooting and wants to give him time to recover. I think there's too much trauma for a 20-year-old black male to process, and I don't want him feeling like that's all I care about, because it's not, she said. I'm blessed to still have him here. Allman also said Marcel T. Nelson was her best friend and the father of 5. He was my best friend, said Allman. We talked and laughed about everything. We were those siblings that didn't argue. The grieving sister wants justice for her family while noting police reform is needed in Kansas City. Something has to give, she said, and killing is not the answer. Well, if you embrace villainy, you would probably want what happened to your brother to happen to this dude, as well as what he did to others. Now, people can bring up police reform all the time, but let's be real here. This type of behavior this dude right here has You can't reform that. It's clear that he has a routine pattern. He has an obsession with wanting to take out black people or bring harm to black people, as it has been shown dating back to 2019. Like, this man is stacking bodies to his belt, and they're allowing him to stay on. And they don't care, obviously, as long as he's doing it within the realm, in the circle, in the confines of what it is that he is doing. They're going to keep him on. They see him as one of the good ones, and that's why Rob tells black people to embrace villainy, because if this guy is seen as one of the good ones, then what are black people seen as? Now, right here is a picture of 3 of his known victims right here. Marcel Nelson, Donnie Sanders, and Deja Stallings. Now, this is the woman right here who was talking about her brother, the one that was killed, the one that had whose son, her son, I believe it's her son, was shot in the head, but he survived. The one she said that she took to the McDonald's and everything like that. That's him. This is the other guy right here, Donnie Sanders, another one who was fatally taken out by him. And this one right here is very interesting. Now, this is Deja Stallings. This is the woman right here who was pregnant, and he put his knee on her back while she's pregnant. Now, I'm gonna show y'all a picture, and I know it's probably gonna make y'all cringe, but it goes along with the story more so with her. Does this picture look familiar to anybody? The picture may not look too familiar, but the video definitely does, but I'm not gonna play the video on here. But I remember seeing this video, I want to say on Twitter first. But remember, she, he dragged her onto this curb, this dirty curb, and began to put his knee on her back while she's pregnant. You can see that she has the bump like right here. He didn't care that she was pregnant. It was just another black body for him to assault. Now, he probably wasn't going to go as far as to kill her, because luckily for her, there were other people around. Because if you notice, all the other incidents, from what I'm hearing, there was nobody there but him. So when he has you alone, he will kill you. But when he has other people around, he'll just go the distance to assault you, probably wishing that he could. And he probably was mad that there were other people around, because in his mind, oh, she's pregnant, I can get a 2-for-1 special, her and her unborn child. But yeah, that is who he is. But there's one major entity that has to be blamed for all this besides just him, and that's this department right here, the Kansas City Police Department. They have major blame into Blaine Newton's behavior, and for them not taking accountability and getting rid of him and charging him accordingly. Y'all are basically allowing a domestic terrorist to run rampant in your department, and the people have been complaining. There's mountains of evidence to prove that he is the one doing this, whether y'all want to admit to it or not, because they keep saying, well, we can't do anything because there are no charges that are unless there are charges. The thing is, they know it's him, but that's why they don't want to press charges against him, so they don't have to get rid of him. In my opinion, they are completely complicit with his behavior, which means they have just as much blame on this as he does, and the blood of his victims are just as much on their hands as they are on his. I mean, think about it. This guy just recently is responsible, according to witnesses, for killings that just happened this June, last month. Or maybe at the beginning of this month, depending on when this video goes up. I'm not entirely sure. Either way, within like the first week, this dude already has bodies under his belt. And like I said, he's strategically and specifically targeting black people. Nowhere in the article that I read that said that they were white, or any other group for that matter. This guy has anti-black rhetoric oozing out of him. And apparently, so does this department. But am I surprised? Nope. Am I shocked? Nope. Like I said, his behavior cannot be reformed because he already had that mindset before he got in that department. He probably was saying this, I'm going to use this department as an outlet to do what I want. And that's how a lot of them, I'm not gonna say all, but that's how a lot of them think. Because it gives them an opportunity to finally get in their hands what they wanted all along, and that's most likely a gun. Without them having to go out and purchase one themselves, you know that's something that's going to be issued to them. As well as other things that they don't want to use at the time, so they'll just use the gun. Like, really digest the details in what I've read about this guy's history dating back to 2019 and how this department is allowing it. So, in my opinion, they gonna have to start at the top down and go like directly after the department. All I'm gonna have to tell the people out there is good luck, and hopefully something can give. So now people are aware of who this dude is, and now you can see why this story doesn't make it to mainstream media. Because honestly, if it did, they would probably spin it. How they would, who knows? They're professional spinsters. They would find a way, unfortunately.